more efficient one through the reviews from customers and through her research and other things. Thank you.
Okay, so Mrs. Christine is of the opinion that technological advancements just talks about better ways in which we improve the efficiency of green technologies around clean cooking that we have. It doesn't necessarily have to be electric cooking. I would want to subscribe to that, but then let's hear from Eugene. Mr. Eugene, are you there?
Yes, I can get you loud and clear.
Thank you, sir. Can we have your opinion?
Okay,
what do you think technology around clean cooking is? What is the actual picture of technology around clean cooking?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yes, okay, thank you. So hello to everyone, and a huge thank you to ESUC for inviting me to speak with you today. My name is Eugene Ochola, and I'm a clean cooking advocate based in Kenya with over 2 years of experience in local clean cooking programs. And I'm also absolutely delighted to be part of these important discussions, basically on technological advancements in clean cooking. So let me just dive deep into my understanding of technology advancements, because I believe they are really crucial for us to improve health, protect the environment, and also empower women. So we need not look at it on the energy perspective, but also look at it on the other sectors. Because technology means we have got better clean cooking technologies that are efficient. They use less type of firewood. This is in terms of having improved biomass cook stoves. This means we also develop other types of fuels in terms of bioethanol. And you also explore how we can integrate LPG into clean cooking. And also when we look at other modern types of clean cooking options, such as electric cooking. So I feel and I understand that such technological advancements are able to make us achieve universal access to clean cooking. And here in Kenya, around 68% of the population are heavily dependent on firewood and charcoal as fuel for clean cooking. So the government, together with other stakeholders, aim to achieve universal access to clean cooking by 2028 rather than 2030. So through this, we have developed a multi-fuel approach in that we not only use those improved biomass cook stoves, but also we utilize electric cooking options. We use LPG as a transition fuel. So my understanding is that technological advancements are really crucial for us to achieve these targets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Eugene. It would have been really nice to see what you look like. So I don't know, because you both are focused on the improvement that we've had so far on biomass, and for both of you, you've said that it's more of the efficiency of the cooking fuel that describes what the technological advancements around clean cooking is. I don't know if I'm getting it wrong, but that's what I understand from what you've said so far. But then what do you think are the most promising advancements so far that we've had, especially around Africa? Which ones have played the more elaborate roles? Is it the briquettes? Is it the ethanol options that we now have? What do you think is playing the more dominant roles around Africa when it comes to clean cooking, technological advancements in clean cooking?
I want to believe that the biomass, it's one improved technological method. There are certain areas that we should focus on, being Africans. And if you will, or if you would agree with me, it is like it has other aspects that we should pay attention to. Now, it is common for Africans to use charcoal and firewood. That percentage is very high. I believe even in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and surrounding countries within West Africa. The other aspect that we have to pay attention to that is hitting us hard, or that will hit us hard, it's about maintaining our environment. The extinction of wild animals, the deforestation, the soil degradation, and the disasters that are caused by all of these fallen trees being transformed to firewood and charcoal. If we are to look at the LPGs, the use of LPGs, there is another method that will help to that will be used. There are other methods that can be used to produce gas. Now we'll hear there's this other biogreen gas from household waste being transformed into biogas. And even the dump sites. With the dump sites, when used properly, it will help also in the waste management within the cities or within the provinces, within our home environment. So these are other forms of advanced technologies. Let's not downplay it for the sake of electricity. And the villages inside other villages can tell you for free that within Africa, they are not opportuned to get service from electricity 24/7. It is out. The one good help that has come in the past decade or so or less is the solar energy, the solar powered. I will agree for the use of solar powered cooking as a clean form of energy that source their energy from the sun. But when you take the others like the LPGs and all, I believe that if attention is paid to these biomass initiatives, it will help and it will transform West Africa. It will transform West Africa for the good, especially for those in the inner provinces. Thank you.
Please, your device is mute.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was saying that before Mr. Eugene gives his opinion, would really appreciate it if the panelists can put on their cameras, so at least would put a face to the name. Thank you so much. Mr. Eugene.
I'm in my paper working space. I do paper bag myself.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
this is what I write. I try.
Thank you. Mr. Eugene, please, can we have your
Okay.
opinion, please?
Okay, thank you. So the question about us having the most promising technological advancements in clean cooking today. It is important to note that the most promising technology can always vary depending on the local context. Because we can have in the rural areas, we can say improved biomass cook stoves are the most promising. In urban areas, we can talk about electric cooking stoves or EPCs, or let's say about electric induction cook stoves. So it is rather hard to note the most promising, but what can guide us will be the multi-tier framework by the World Bank for clean cooking, where it categorizes different types of cook stoves. Where we have the tier one, we have the one with no access. Those are the ones that use the open fires. We have tier 2 to 3 that utilize the improved biomass cook stoves. And we also have the last tier, which is between tier 4 and 5, that consists of the modern cook stoves. So my understanding of how we can note the most promising is those types of cook stoves that use less fuel, those types of cook stoves that do not emit any emissions or perhaps less emissions. And we are always there to speak about modern energy cooking services that highlights the importance of us using electrical appliances for cooking. But then we recall the idea about different local context, because in the rural areas where I believe you've got less access to electricity is where they have got firewood and charcoal as the readily available type of fuel. So what can we do to them? That's where we introduce the LPGs. As much as we talk about improved biomass cook stoves, we in Kenya are really trying to transition them to using the liquefied petroleum gas types of cook stoves. So my understanding to that is that there is no single answer. There's no one size fits all, that this is the most promising type of technology. No. My understanding is that it should fit every local context, and each local context has got its own type of cook stove. Thank you.
I think rice cookers were knocked out of the call by network again. When would you want to step in?
Hello, can anyone hear me? Sorry, I am having network issues. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, please, I can hear you. Yeah.
So, Mr. Eugene, you spoke about the different tiers of technologies around clean cooking. Could you please expatiate a little bit on it? I think this is the first time I'm hearing of different sectors, but you mentioned tiers and their various grades. Could you just shed a little bit more light on it?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So as I stated, what will be able to guide us so that we can know the most promising cooking technology is when we use the guiding tool, which is the multi-tier framework by the World Bank. It categorizes fuels from the ones with no access, the ones with improved access, and the ones with modern access, rather than the binary approach of access or no access. So we have got 5 tiers, and the first tier, which is tier 1, you also see it's also called tier 0, but we have nothing like tier 0, so it's tier 1. So tier 1 highlights no access, and no access means we use the open fires or the 3-tone stove, the traditional one that we are all aware of. And it also specifies about it having pure ventilation, where you will spend around 7 hours per week for fuel acquisition and preparation, and also will have higher fuel costs and negative impact on the environment. Then as we move along tier 2 to 3, where we have the improved biomass cook stoves, and these improved biomass cook stoves can also consist of the ones with forced draft or natural draft types of cook stoves, where we see efficiencies that range between 20 to 40%. In terms of fuel acquisition, we can see that we're having around 7 hours or less of fuel acquisition. And now we can see that it uses less fuel for cooking. And also there is good climate, good climate impacts. There's also improvements in time for women to do other stuffs. Then as we head to the last tier, which categorize it between tier 4 and 5, we can see now the modern cooking appliances with clean cooking fuel, e.g. we have the LPGs, we have the biogas, we have got ethanol, we have got electricity, where we are seeing efficiencies that are above 40% with good ventilation in households, where we've got one can spend around 1.5 hours per week or less in terms of cooking. And also we have got, despite the fact that they are costly in terms of acquisition, but with the time they will depreciate. So we are having fuel costs of rather $10 to $30 per month, and also negative impacts on health, climate, and gender impact. So it's just a guiding tool that guides us on which could be the most promising technology. But then we should also recall that the only answer to that is if that technology fits the local context. Yes, thank you. Yes, back to you, Eso. I'm already done with the explanation.
Apologies for that. I think she really has to regulate with the issue. So I'll be stepping in at this moment. Take over to your she return. So thank you very much. We've really gained insight from contributions, Eugene, as well as Christine Williams. Thank you so much for the insights you've shared so far. So just move quickly to hear your opinion, hear your views concerning the role of carbon financing in driving clean technology adoption across Africa. course, there is a lot of discussion around the finance aspect, the cost, the upfront cost, and the carbon financing comes in handy to mitigate this cost. So I'll be starting with Christine. Would like to hear you just give us your own view as to the role of carbon financing and how it can be used to drive clean cooking technology adoption across Africa. I hope you got the question and you heard me clearly.
Yeah, thank you
Please go
again.
ahead.
I don't know for other parts. I like a confirmation. With LPG, they are having subsidies from government. Am I correct? Or from an external body?
Can you hear me?
No, I didn't get you.
Okay, I'm asking that your own opinion. Like what
Okay,
is
I
the
get
role
that.
of
I get that. I get that. I got it. What I'm asking, if you're able to answer, or if any one panelist or guest is able to give me a clear picture, I'll be fine. If not, I'll continue. I understand from Sierra Leone, these LPG providers are being subsidized. I don't know if it's the same for Nigeria or elsewhere within West Africa. So, if that is the case, if I'm correct for the other countries, but I'm sure that one happens in Sierra Leone, they've been subsidized. If we are to, they're being subsidized. And from the explanation of Eugene, you take the fourth tier, the tier 4, which the latter part of his explanation is that it's expensive and there are some health issues related to using the LPGs. Imagining you are to use LPG for the rest of your life, starting from age 10 to maybe 60. If you're lucky, you'll be safe. If not, you'll definitely be engulfed with some other ill health issues. Now, with the carbon use of the biomass from agricultural waste, there is this percentage which I believe is almost 0 point something or 1 point something. If the highest, maybe it's 1 or 2 point something for the carbon emission, which is not too bad with our health, right? If used for cooking, as we are discussing clean cooking. In that light, when you're taking, for instance, the cost involved both in the stove and the fuel for cooking, it's far less, and it lasts longer than the other type of fuel. Notwithstanding, I know people will want to bring my attention to the fact that the convenience with a biomass briquette, you'll have to wake up, come and light the briquette, allow it to light, start to burn. And if you're in a rush, you'll say, I don't need this hassle. But in a comfortable timing, I think we are to look at the efficiency and the less carbon emission from our biomass briquettes.
Thank you very much. And you talked about government intervention in terms of providing subsidies to cover
Yes,
and
please.
also de-risk the investment. So also like to hear from you, Jane. What, in your own opinion, what role does carbon financing play in driving the adoption of clean technologies across Africa? Did you get my question? And you are muted as well, Jane. Can you hear me?
We're waiting for you to speak. Okay, maybe he's having a little bit of technical issues, but I can see that our third panelist has joined us. Margaret is here. Margaret, if you can hear us, can you please say hi?
Over to you, Esther.
Hello.
Hi, it's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Before you came, we had been going all about technological advancements around clean cooking, especially in Africa, and we had been putting a lot of emphasis on green cook stoves, improved biomass, LPGs, and we're just wondering, does carbon finance have any roles to play around the advancements that we have had so far in clean cooking, especially in Africa?
Does carbon finance have any role in playing in advance of clean cooking? I don't get a question.
Yes, that's the question.
If they have any role in improved cook stove or generally in advancing clean cooking?
In improving the access to technological advancements around clean cooking, what roles does carbon finance have to play around that?
Yeah, so I think they have a great role to play in improving in advanced clean cooking, because so there are they have their criteria that you have to meet to have like to be qualified to be in the carbon credits market. And with the criteria they already have, which is like you have to like go through stove testing, it has to be like a certain amount of tier. For example, they are like more keen on tier 3 or tier 2 stoves upwards. I feel like they have a great role in probably having like a capacity building training to have like that advancement to like improve for local manufacturers that have not been producing up to like tier 3 to tier 4 stove, to create that partnership or collaboration with higher technologies and local manufacturer, so that that could help us like close the gaps between local manufacturer and international manufacturer, and it will also like reduce the gap in energy in clean cooking access personally. And I feel like if they can like if they should like pay more attention to the criteria they're like looking on, and also see how they are able to like be flexible and be more inclusive, like including like local manufacturers from like the countries, for example, and see how they could be able to like match up to like technology advancement, for example, and also create like that either partnership between the government or like different countries, so that we could learn from them, and that will enable us to like improve not only technology but also have more access or able to like reach out to the market demand.
I totally totally agree with that. I think that when we have access to carbon financing, we'll be able to increase the rate at which we produce these green stoves and briquettes, and of course, it'll be more affordable for people. I also think that the government has a huge role to play. Mr. Eugene, you have experience working in the government. You have the eyes of the government because you have worked with your Ministry of Energy. I don't know, do you have any perspectives on this?
Yes, thank you. Now, what I'll say is that carbon finance is very crucial, but now I'll echo what you have said. The government has to play its part. And that's why in Kenya, now I worked under the Ministry of Energy, but we always have coordination between Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Environment. So the Ministry of Environment is the one that came up with the regulations. It established a regulatory framework for carbon markets through the climate change regulations. This was done last year, 2024, and it aims to operationalize carbon projects and markets, and also promote emission reductions and also support the country's climate commitments. So it needs the government to come up front, develop the regulatory policies and frameworks so that they can attract such global bodies and also funding carbon finance in the country. Now, what I'll say about carbon credits is that clean cooking technologies always aim to reduce emissions. And as I understand is that carbon credits can be generated when one reduces GHG's emissions. So I believe clean cooking companies can take this opportunity to monetize their emission reductions. And their projects can be quantified and also be verified against such recognized methodologies. Let's state of clean development mechanism methodology that was developed, or somehow they can utilize some of the global standards done by the gold standards or Verra. So these emission reduction, when they are verified, they can be converted into carbon credits, with each credit that represents at least a ton of CO2 equivalent. And once they're able to access such kind of funding is where we can have subsidization of clean cook stoves, which can make them affordable. It can also support distribution networks. It can also support maintenance of such advanced clean cooking technologies. The financing option can also be utilized for research purposes so that we can have more efficient clean cooking solutions in the market. And it will further attract investments. So I believe carbon finance is really crucial, especially for the modern cook stoves. Thank you.
Given that we have challenges with governments creating enabling environments for the carbon markets, and I am fully aware that accessing the carbon market is a very, very tough deal. For manufacturers like yourself, Margaret, and Mrs. Christine, I don't know, do you have experiences trying to access carbon finance in the course of your own business line? Let's hear from Mrs. Christine.
Sorry for the network age. It's like what I will say from Sierra Leone end is that the carbon finance is good, if only maybe through enforcement or implementation of the use of our biomass briquette as an option. it will help us, and it will help us to do awareness raising, sensitization all around the provinces, towns, and villages for a better and more environmental friendly use for the health of all.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Christine. Margaret, have you had any experiences trying to access carbon financing?
Yes, I've had some experience. Like I said, they were so firstly they're like targeting for tier 3 stores, at least tier 2 for tier 3, advanced improved food stores. And also they're looking for like companies that can manufacture at least
I think that we have lost Margaret. Okay, I think that we have lost Margaret. We'll come back to that when she comes back to the call. Before we take the next section where we'll be focusing on private public partnerships around clean cooking technological advancements, I will just take 5 minutes to take a poll.
So I'm pulling up from where it stopped. I think having another issue with the network as well. So we'll be having the full question section now.
Engineer Anthony, please launch the poll. Thank you.
Hello.
sorry, you lost in it. We done?
We are with you.
Hello.
I can hear you. This is time for the full
Hello.
questions
Hello.
to be responded to. The full questions will be coming up very soon, so we could respond to it. We could engage questions.
Okay.
Thank you. So the full questions are up now. We want to engage, and we look forward to your responses to this question. I believe we've been able to answer the full questions and find responses to the questions. As we'll be ending the full question session soon. So do well to engage. I believe we are rounding up the questions. We soon end the full. So we've come to the end of the full question session, and Esuk is back on the call. Please, can you hear me, Esuk? Can we all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And Esuk is not back on the call, so you can continue.
Sorry?
Esuk is not back, so you please continue.
Excuse me,
I
I'm
believe
tapping on some of the pool questions on my answers, but I'm not seeing it responding. I don't know what's the problem.
please, who is speaking?
Some of the poll questions I'm tapping on, it's
Yeah.
not responding
So
accordingly.
since you are a co-host, that's why you cannot vote on the poll.
Okay.
Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that.
It's okay.
Hello.
I thought I was part of it.
Hello. Hello,
I believe
member.
that has addressed your question.
Yes, thank you.
So we proceed. Continue from where we stopped. So there are quite a lot of challenges in the supply chain sector for clean cooking fuels and appliances in Africa. And we'd like to hear what are the big challenges from your perspective. What are the big challenges in developing supply chain for clean cooking fuels and appliances in Africa? Because you understand that most of these clean cooking appliances do not produced in Africa. They are being imported into Africa. Maybe the components are being imported and maybe they are assembled, but they are mostly imported outside Africa. So starting with you, Margaret, what to you, what are the biggest challenges in developing supply chain for the clean cooking fuels and appliances in Africa?
Okay, so for us, like the biggest challenge, I can say producing large quantity, the ability to be able to produce like up to like 5,000 stove monthly, because like I said earlier, that's like one of the major criteria they're looking for the carbon finance market. You should be able to be produced in large quantity, not just that, challenges and improving technology, like conducting like stove testing, trying to see how far you've improved in your technology as well can be really challenging for us in Sierra Leone, because we don't have that partnership or relationship with international companies that can like help us or see where we can improve on in terms of technology. And also to have that kind of, there are other challenges again we are facing is accessibility to resources. It's quite expensive in Freetown because it has to do with importation and getting this materials can be really expensive. And if we have that supply chain where we could like access materials for like reasonable costs, that would like automatically reduce the price of this cook stoves. And yes, I think again, another challenges we are facing is in terms of implementation of policies. I strongly believe there are already policies in place in terms of clean cooking, but in terms of implementing these policies, or probably that's like one of the targeted goals from the Ministry of Energy, but for over the years, previous years, I haven't seen much being done in terms of clean cooking. So us local manufacturers are finding it difficult to adapt in this policy or no like what's like the headway for this policy is being placed, or if there is any policy at all. And the space is big enough. The market demand is big. We haven't even reached out to the market demand. And recently, I just learned that there's this new stove that has been imported in Sierra Leone and they will be distributing over like 1.6 million cook stoves in Sierra Leone. And I believe that is because we don't have the advanced technology or like the ability to be able to like, or support to be able to produce up to like that certain amount. And from the local manufacturer in Sierra Leone, the highest any local manufacturer can produce in Sierra Leone, I believe it's not even up to 2,000 or less than 1,000. So there is a huge gap, and we are facing this. The challenges are there, and also the challenges in having that kind of being like visible in the space is quite difficult. People don't see the importance or benefit of clean cooking access. They thought it's like a minor problem, but I believe I'm still hopeful. Hopefully by the ending of this year or next year, we'll have the visibility we want.
At this point, at this point, I would have to got you so others would also contribute. I got to hear from you. You've mentioned quite a lot of challenges. Talked about the producing in large scale. You talked about the financing aspect, and of course the enabling environment, the implementation of the policy. But that is the kingpin. If the policy environment is not favorable, definitely people would run away from investing in that sector. And of course, the production of the manufacturing of these stoves, these clean cook stoves will also be affected. So I would like to hear from you, Eugene.
Okay.
Share with us some of the big challenges affecting the development of the supply chain with regards to manufacturing of clean cook stoves and appliances in Africa.
Okay, thank you. So I have a number, but let me mention a few. So I know of not having gender inclusive designs. Like women like, let's say a lady likes to see a pot which she can cook a local food here in Kenya, what we call githeri. You know, they cook for a number of people, let's say 30 or more. So if we're having clean cooking appliances that do not fit that specific design, then that means this type of women will try off. Let's say they'll just say, no, I can't use that. Let me just stick to my own traditional cooking practice because it can cook at once. There's no need of me using that small appliance. So that's the challenge. That's the first challenge. We also have other challenges about, can I say, about weak distribution centers, weak last mile distribution centers, because we're having no established networks of local retailers in the rural areas, or sometimes even delivery services for these types of cook stoves. Remember also in those rural areas, we lack storage facilities. And let me be specific about LPG, because we can't just distribute LPG without the users knowing where to refill it. So in terms of LPG, we are lacking storage facilities for that, and they are not enough in Kenya in rural areas. The only thing that we're trying to improve on is on ethanol. Like Cocoa Networks have got some of the rather established in urban areas, but in rural areas, they're really trying as much to fix that gap. And also, what also hinders supply chain is that when you introduce such kind of information to someone who's used to the traditional type of cook stove, it means they will say, this thing is too expensive for me. The upfront cost is too expensive for me. I've been using free firewood, which is readily available. I can just go to the forest, cut down, then use it for cooking. But here you're presenting to me a type of stove which is around $50 to $100, you know? So it means many households switch, even those who have purchased these kind of cook stoves, sometimes switch and revert to traditional fuels. And sometimes they bring about what we call, yes, fuel stacking, where they have got a clean cook stove in the house and they still use the traditional cook stove in the house. So these are some of the challenges that hinder supply chain of clean cooking fuels in some parts of Africa, especially Kenya. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. The women, they need to be considered. Yeah, need what, because they're mostly the ones that do the cooking. It's not to say that men don't cook, of course, they do the cooking as well. I mean, their needs and their opinion should be valued in the design of this cooking appliances that we've stated. Talked about a lot of challenges. So we're handing over the baton to Christine to also hear from her with regards what the challenges are. Over to you, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. With regards to the challenges, there are many, but I can highlight few of them. With the government, to write policies, it's like very easy for them. But to enforce and the enforcement arm of any country is the government. For instance, I'm producing biomass briquette at a small scale because of the size of machinery, and government is the sole response. Government should be the sole responsibility, should shoulder the sole responsibility of enforcing that policy, the policy of not falling trees. But if you are querying or or taxing the tree cutters, the firewood and business people, if you're taxing them, you're telling them that they can go ahead and cut and continue to use firewood for their cooking, continue to use charcoal. The reason I mentioned about the subsidy on LPG in Sierra Leone is that if they're able to subsidize the use of LPG gas, they can be also able to subsidize for biomass stove producers and biomass fuel producers, because the switching cost is a bit challenging for them. I've raised like a sensitization within my mountain community where my factory is, but that sensitization and raising that awareness is kind of too small. Raise the awareness, teach and show them that you can plant trees to recover the forest again and all, but it's too small because of lack of finance. And the awareness raising should be a key thing if we are to introduce these new technologies. If we are to introduce these new technologies, awareness and sensitization is a key thing. The other thing is about collaboration. We need to collaborate. For people producing the cook stoves and we on the other side producing the biomass briquette. If there is a collaboration and the need for our institution to come in and help us make the difference, it will help us as a nation. It will help even the grassroots people, even the provincial people. It will come on again. It will help all of us around that circle. It's like a circle. If there is no need, if there is no awareness raising, sensitization and all, and collaboration, it's kind of challenging a bit.
We're going to wrap up this question, implementation of policy. Thank you. So we've also heard from Christine that the policy aspect is also a major challenge. So the government find it very easy to come up with these policies, but to implement and enforce it is a challenge. Of course, you mentioned infrastructural challenges, gas storage, facilities, talked about gender inclusive designs, and the finance aspect as well. And in your last sentence, you mentioned collaboration, which ushers us to the next question, but switching or transitioning to adoption of clean cooking appliances or technologies involve a collaborative and collective effort. It's not to be left in the hands of manufacturers alone or government. We all have a part to play, even as the end users too. We have a part to play. So on this note, I would like to hear from Eugene. I just covered that Margaret has gone up, but we hope to have her join the webinar back. So we'd like to know how partnerships from governments, of course, the end users, the private sector, that's manufacturers, even the community, how can this partnership help in mass scale up in terms of adoption of these clean skin appliances? How do you see partnership coming in to remedy the situation?
Okay, thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so let's say multi-stakeholder partnerships are always crucial because no single entity can possess all the necessary resources, expertise to tackle this complex challenge of transitioning billions and billions of people around the world to clean cooking. So how does it play out? Because each player brings his own unique sets of strength. So I've worked for a shorter period in the governmental sector under the Ministry of Energy, and this is where governments can create enabling environments by having supportive policies such as the Kenya National Cooking Transition Strategy. We also have the Kenya National Electric Cooking Strategy. We also have clean cooking being mentioned in other strategies such as the Kenya's climate change plan. We also have clean cooking also mentioned in the broader policy on energy in the country, which is the Energy Act 2019. So governments create enabling environments for supportive policies. They set clear targets, like in Kenya, we have till 2028 to have 100% access to clean cooking, and they also run public awareness campaigns. Now, that's on the government. What about the rest? We have the IOs, which are the international organizations. They now come in with the financial instruments that can fund pilot projects. They can also assist the government. I've seen cases of NDEV assisting the government in policy design, MEC also in policy design about e-cooking, and MECs, they referenced from their already conducted research on consumer preferences on e-cooking appliances. And also such international organizations can act as neutral conveners in that they can bring together governments for knowledge sharing, where we can build best practices and also build momentum on the importance of clean cooking. Then we have now the implementers, which are the private sector companies, because they have got the needed market-driven solutions. So what do? They contribute to technical expertise in building the product that should be and must be tailored to local needs. They also make sure that these cookstoves that enter the market are efficient. They must also make sure that they scale it to the meeting demand. So every partner needs to come in so that we can advance this thing called universal access to clean cooking, because these combined efforts create a symbiotic ecosystem for achieving the set of targets.
Thank you very
sorry?
much, sir. To cut you at this point, so we could also hear from other panelists, because you've talked about combined efforts. It's never a one-man show to achieve universal access in technology. So I've seen a hand up from Joe Rogers. I hope I got pronunciation correctly. I don't know if it's a question you have to ask. There is a question and answer session. You could just drop the question in the chat box, or you wait when we get to that point to ask your question. I believe that has addressed your concern. So I'll be moving over to Christine. Let's also hear from you the role of partnerships, because you stated earlier that there is a need for collaboration, there is a need for collective action. So we'd like to hear from you.
Yes, there is a need for collaboration, and this one works. This one is challenging to work for us in Sierra Leone. For instance, you have your own minimal machine. You have your vehicle to transport, to collect and transport raw materials and finished products, but it's not enough. For instance, I was like going around the hawkers of traditional charcoal for me to introduce to them this new type of briquette that they can buy from me and resell. There is no fixed price. I just sell, and I will sell to them at a reduced cost. But they were not willing. And then now we are having meetings with like few hubs, entrepreneurs hub, wherein we discuss about them helping us to collaborate or to put up adverts in that they can help in advertising our products and bringing us together. We already have an association of clean cooking in Sierra Leone, which I'm part of. But the issue is that because the stove producers are not much, and some of them are also producing briquettes. Some of them are doing both. They are producing the briquette and producing their stoves. So for us that are not producing briquette, that are not producing stoves, we need to collaborate with them that are producing just the stove. It can be a good collaboration. And also for like places that are using charcoal, for them to link us up. I was at one meeting wherein one UN organization, let me don't call any name here, one UN organization, they are supplying food ration or food for a community or different communities. It's not a community, different communities for school going children. You need to collaborate with us, both the stove producers and the briquette producers, to supply fuel for that type of group, for that set of group. If you are providing cooking items for them, and then they are to provide the fuel for the cooking, it's like you're sending them to the forest to go and cut down trees. That's the simple answer, because they can't afford it. Because you notice there is a gap and there is a need to provide food for school-going children in the remote part of Sierra Leone, then you should also think about collaborating to a complete state, providing the dry ration and meeting their fuel need and even the stove need. For instance, some of them will say, we don't have money to buy that large stove. But if these people that are providing food for a community school or two, it means you can purchase from the stove producers of biomass briquettes, and then you can also collaborate with us providing cooking fuel.
Certainly, I agree with you, as the collaboration is not only restricted to government and the private sector. Of course, within the private sector, it's still a level of collaboration and support that is required. As you said, when food items are being given, it should be accompanied with the clean cooking appliances, because this would definitely make those in the remote areas, when these donations are being made, to go in search of the nearest cooking fuel they can get, which of course is always firewood and charcoal lying down maybe at the back of their house or something, and they'll go ahead to cook with this. So at this point, Esuk, I don't know if your network is full for you to take over, or I should continue.
Thank you so much, Barrister. I'm really grateful. I have been listening to the conversation so far, and I really resonate with the concerns around partnerships. It's not just about partnering with governments. It's not just about partnering with international organizations, but then there needs to be collaborative efforts on the local level. This is because we need to increase access to underserved communities and rural communities, who are the major players and the major population that need clean cooking. So I totally agree with all of that. What incentives do we think that we need to have so that we can encourage more innovations around clean cooking? Mr. Eugene, what incentives would actually foster technologies around clean cooking to increase access, of course?
Okay, so some of the incentives should have a combination of financial and also policy incentives, which are more essential for more innovation into clean cooking. And let us not also forget about market-driven incentives. So in terms of financial, we just need a combination of upfront grants from development partners that can be used for technology development, and also having result-based financing schemes, which are always tied to verification of sales of clean cooking solutions. So I believe this type of financial approach can reduce financial risks of such kind of innovators in ensuring that they've got good products out in the market, and also ensuring accountability for such outcomes. And also on the financial aspect, we also need, like, clean cooking companies need to leverage carbon finance, because they need to monetize such emission reductions. And currently in Kenya, I'm seeing a number of clean cooking companies that are trying to monetize their carbon credits, specifically companies that make e-cooking appliances such as the electric induction cookers and the electric pressure cookers. So with the smart metering technologies, this is the inclusion of IoT capabilities. I believe they can be able to track on fuel consumption. And after this is where they can leverage their data through global platforms to gain carbon credit validation. So I believe it not only goes for the financial incentives, but too on the policy, we need to have subsidies for various types of clean cook stoves and clean cooking solutions, not only focusing on e-cooking appliances, but also focusing on other types of fuels such as bioethanol and also biogas. So I think financial incentives are very crucial in making sure that we can have 100% transition to clean cooking.
I agree with that. I think we need a lot of financing around local technologies for clean cooking. Majorly because within Africa we have constraints with electricity access, and a lot of this funding that we see around really goes around electrical appliances. So I really think that we should have more access to finance for locally developed technologies.
And perhaps Exuk, I can also mention about the policy incentive, in that for us to attract such kind of financial investment into clean cooking, we need, as governments, they need to integrate clean cooking targets into their NDCs. Like a case example, we're only having 25% of African countries including that they include their clean cooking targets in their NDCs, and this limits funding access. So every government needs to align their policies with global standards and global targets about SDG 7, and this will really help to attract investments in that sector. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Christine, I don't know if you have any opinions around that. I feel like Eugene has covered everything.
Yes. I want to add one or two more points to Eugene's comment. I want to believe that a single digit loan from a local government bank will help us boost our production in that we'll be able to buy 1 or 2 more machines. We'll able to buy maybe additional vehicle or additional tricycle for, you'll have a big truck for collection of raw materials and smaller truck or tricycles for distribution of finished product. That one is key. For me, with my experience, I'm like tired with grants. I just feel petty in their eyes, especially in Sierra Leone. For a big project, for a big business like this, you're giving somebody $15,000. How much can I do with $15,000? Instead, give me loan. Let my neck be tied to it for payment. It's much more honorable for me. And then the other options for government or like our Freetown Principality, which we call city council, that is responsible for the city, and we have other councils in the provincial areas that is responsible for the for waste management and other things that they are putting in place. For me, one idea is that if they can allocate an area for us that are transforming agricultural waste into biomass briquette, or these people that are doing other type of gases, it will be much more easier, and I believe we will be able to sell these products far lesser because of closeness to raw material. Closeness to
Yeah,
raw
that's
materials.
that's true. That's true.
But I
Yeah,
don't feel
I
honored
really
in
agree with that.
grants any longer. It sounds
Mhm.
so miserable for me. You'll be all over the media that they've given you. What is $15,000? I've poured more than
Well,
that personally. It's not money. It's like you want
so
to
so
sell
so
peanuts.
in your opinion, you think that we should have more physically driven incentives, like encouraging distribution and supply lines, rather than just focusing on financing of clean cooking technologies and development. I really, really agree with that, because most times it's not just finance that the manufacturers struggle with. We also have the adoption rate that also influences how much demand and supply that these products can eventually get in the market. I think that we should have incentives in ways that would encourage distribution and supply. I really resonate with you, Mrs. Christine. Before we round up and go into the question and answer session, there are lots and lots of questions and opinions in the chat box, and time is really, really against us. So I'll just take a few questions. Someone is asking, can a supplier or distributor of clean cooking equipment apply for carbon credits, or is it limited to manufacturers alone? Well, so far, you need to be able to own a clean cooking business. You need to be able to be the one to remove carbon emissions. You need to be able to own these carbon emissions for you to have access to the carbon credits. So basically, for now, I think it's just the manufacturers that have access to carbon credits, although we're advocating that these benefits of carbon financing should be extended to the end users. We really think that if the end users know that they would benefit from these carbon credits, of course, they'll be willing to transition. I'm going to let Mark Christine take this one. Says, please suggest the immediate action to be done to make briquettes an alternative choose over charcoal.
It is
Mrs.
possible.
Christine, in a few seconds.
It is possible, but it lies wholly and solely on the government to enforce their policies. They need to enforce. And enforcing, that was what I explained earlier on, that you can't be taxing somebody that is felling trees to come and pay along the highway, and then you're talking about reproducing briquette for use. The briquette and the charcoal, they are doing the same work, but our briquettes are more efficient. But then they are looking at the cost. And production cost for anything you produce from scratch is not small. But if there is a subsidy, or if we were having better grants, single digit grants that we can scale up and produce mass production, it will help us to reduce the cost of our briquette.
Okay, so you think that it's the cost of the briquettes that is discouraging. Well,
the cost of the briquette and maybe the switching cost of the cook stoves. And their mentality, the mentality of our people.
So, from what you have said, we need government to actually enforce adoption of cleaner technologies.
Yes,
I agree with that. But behavioral change is also very key. Thank you so much for that. Eugene, how do you think we can promote the use of locally available materials to advance clean cooking technologies? I think that's a very beautiful question. Can you give us a response in like 1 minute? Mr. Eugene? Okay, Mr. Eugene is not here. Okay, so maybe when he comes back, we'll give him the opportunity to answer that. For now, I would like to bring this session to a close. Thank you all so much. But before we run off to the rest of our daily activities, Barrister Uwem, I don't know if okay, yeah, Mr. Eugene is here. Mr. Eugene, there was a question for you. I don't know if you heard it. We could just give you 30 seconds to respond. So someone is asking that how do we promote the use of locally available materials to advance technologies around clean cooking? If you can give us a response in 30 seconds.
Now, those materials need to be of quality first, because we need to follow the global standards, so that they can be able, and they should be durable to handle the same kind of level of heat to maybe boil maybe a meal for 7 hours or so, just like the pots that we had. So the only way through that is if that material is of quality standards. That's the only way we can say that we can at least advertise that material for manufacturing of such clean cooking appliances. It must fit the standards and the testing protocols. Yes.
That's very true. If we're going to have locally available materials, standards and quality is very, very key. And so, yes, the only way that we can encourage locally available materials is if there are ways to improve the standards and the quality of this material around technologies. So thank you all so much for having me. I would hand over to Barrister Uwem to bring the session to a close. It has been really, really insightful on my end. I have learned a lot. I am really, really honored to meet people that actually create greener, cleaner cooking technologies. Personally, I hate smoke. And it's really, really a pleasure to have all of your opinions around technological advancements in clean cooking. So Barrister Uwem, I would hand over to you to bring the session to a close. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the wonderful moderation of panel session. Thank you to our research persons and panelists for joining in, and of course for the amazing input, the insights you've shared around the technological advancements, as well as the partnership aspects, collaborative efforts, the carbon financing as well. I believe we all learned, because I personally have really learned a lot from this session. And before we close out, take us through share my I'll take us through the opportunity corner. First, don't just have the panel discussions and everyone will be also share opportunities that abound in the clean sector. Can everyone see my screen? So we have the opportunity in the clean cooking industry. We have an opportunity here, decarbonizing humanitarian energy, and the deadline is the 1st of December. But this opportunity is sponsored by UNITA, the funding and partnership opportunity, and it applies to Niger and Nigeria. Well, we also have a renewable energy project started by the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a financial guarantee, and it applies to all countries, irrespective of the continent. It includes Africa as well, East Africa, West Africa, and every other part of Africa. We also have a funding opportunity from West Africa Clean Cooking Fund, and the deadline is the 1st December 2025, the funding opportunity, and it applies to West Africa. And we have another funding opportunity sponsored by Norwegian Agency for Public and Financial Management. It basically guarantees for renewable energy investment, and the deadline is also 31st December 2025. So we still have a long span of time to benefit from these funding opportunities, and it applies to ODA funding eligible countries. You could as well check on the website for more information. We also have supply and storage of institutional scale electric pressure cookers in Tanzania. So this applies to Tanzania, and this is a procurement contract. Please pardon my background, and it's funded by Sustainable Energy. The deadline is 8 April 2025, about 2 weeks from now. So these are the opportunities in the clean industry, and everyone is being encouraged to apply for this and also benefit, because in as much as we are talking about creating awareness on energy access, as there are opportunities, funding opportunities to also take care of the financial aspects. We're discussing about the challenges of adopting these technologies, and of course, finance has a huge role to play. So thank you for staying up to this point. And just before we also depart, also taking you through the upcoming activities. During the introduction, I mentioned that Rural Energy has energy education and advocacy as one of its core mandates, and we have seen the need to gather researchers, to gather policy makers, as well as the government, to discuss around the transitioning to clean energy and, of course, energy storage. So we have a conference organized and led by Rural Energy called the Africa International Conference on Clean Energy and Energy Storage. And of course, this year we are having the 3rd edition of the conference. It's holding in Nigeria at University of Port Harcourt on 25th and 26th of September, and we welcome submission of research papers around clean mobility, mini-grid development, clean cooking, and every other theme that relates to clean energy and energy storage. And of course, in addition to the ICES conference, we also have 54 facts. This webinar called Fourth Fast Cooking Webinar. And of course, we are on the webinar. And the next edition is the 6th episode. We just had the 5th episode. So the next episode is going to be the 6th episode. I will be looking at the role of digital technologies in expanding clean cooking access. So we look forward to have you too on this 6th episode. Spread the message as well. We also have the Cook Clean Advocate. How to become a Cook Clean Advocate is basically a program that looks at giving an opportunity for people who are advocates of clean cooking technologies, who are big on advocating for the transition to clean cooking, saying no to dirty cooking wells. So we have this program for them, and this is the eligibility criteria that is being displayed on the screen. So how to become a cooking advocate should be able to demonstrate an understanding of the SDGs, and you should also be passionate about clean cooking and committed to advocating for sustainable clean cooking solutions. In addition, you must have attended at least 5 editions of 51st Facts webinar. Must have attended 5 editions of this webinar that we are on. If you've attended from episode 1 down to this 5th episode, then you should know that you are eligible for this and you should not waste time. You should engage and make the best use of this opportunity, and it will also be available for training and complete the Clean Cook Advocate training module. Of course, it's going to be virtual for everyone, irrespective of your location, wherever you are, Africa, or even if you're outside. And you must also be ready to commit to carrying out at least one clean cooking awareness activity in your community. You should be able to carry out that one awareness activity in your community, in the grassroots, because they are mostly the ones that do this cooking with dirty fuels. They don't really have access to cooking with these technologies. This point, once again, thank you everyone for joining in on this episode of
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We also want to appreciate all our partners. Want to appreciate Swedo, want to appreciate TEN. You guys have been amazing. Veronica Anthony Foundation, you've all been very, very supportive. Mr. Eugene, thank you so much for making our time to be with us today. I really, really learned from you. I am definitely going to be on your LinkedIn page, following all the amazing things that you are doing. Thank you, Mrs. Christine. It's amazing to have your perspective. I never really understood how it worked with the local manufacturers, and hearing you speak to us about your experiences and your opinions and what you think we could use to scale clean cooking, especially in the rural communities, and encourage local innovations. It is really, really, really enlightening. Thank you so much, Ma, for making out of your time to be here with us. Margaret left us a little bit early. I really also learned from her. I think she had a little bit of experience around carbon financing and trying to expand to the international level. This is really, really enlightening, and I really hope that you all can still join us in our next sessions, where we're going to be talking about digital tools and how they apply to expanding clean cooking access around Africa. We'll be focusing a little bit more on clean cooking technologies like electric cooking, hot plates, and all of that. We'll be talking more on IoT embedments and the likes. So it would be really nice to have you all to come and share in our experience and learn also from our panelists that day. So after this, we're going to have the end-line survey. We really appreciate if you'll take time out to fill the survey for us. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We hope to see you all in 2 weeks in the next episode. I will be your host, so thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you. Feel honored to be part of it.
Thank you, Ma.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. I'll go back to the contract and find which I like to be in the system. Then can you signal line item